Well, I hate to break it to you, but nobody cares about your product. So that's a conversation that I had with a CEO. We'll call him Bill. And Bill was interested in hiring me. See, Bill was struggling with inconsistent growth and unpredictable revenue. And so sat down with Bill, and Bill's like, I just don't get it, man. Brad, I just don't know why I'm not growing. You know, he started taking me through this beautiful branding material that he had, and he started telling me about all these users he had on his platform. And then he took me through this beautiful PowerPoint presentation that talked all about the features and benefits of his product. And then he got into his APIs and his integrations. And for those of you not in software, that's just a fancy way of saying how software talks to each other. And then he started getting into his roadmap, and he started telling me all this really cool stuff he was going to be building into the platform over the next 18 to 24 months. And then he finally told me why he built the company and why it matters so much to his target market and why he was different, and really got into his why. And then he jumped right back into telling me about his product. And that's when I had to interrupt him and say, Bill, man, nobody cares about your product. They care about your problem. They care about the problem you solve. They care about your why. They care about why you built this company and why it matters so much to your target market. And you know, it's crazy. It's like I talk to so many CEOs in the health tech space, and all of them, whatever happens with their go-to-market, something flips in their brain, and they stop focusing on problems and they start selling product. And they say to me, well, I want to be like the big boys, man. I want to be the Goliath of my industry, you know? And just something happens and it flips. And when I point it out to them, they say to me, that's not true. I care about my customer and what matters to them. But that's not the message that they're sending in their go-to-market strategy. So something happens, something shifts. They shift their focus away from their why, which shifts their go-to-market strategy, which shifts the narrative. And then you know what happens? They lose their edge and they start competing like everybody else. How many of you heard the story of David versus Goliath? Pretty much everybody, right? So it's the story of this young shepherd boy that went out and faced this massive giant with just a sling and some stones. Now, back in the day, that was not the conventional wisdom on how to slay a giant, okay? So everybody tried to talk him into putting on a suit of armor and getting a sword, and he did that. And he put on the armor, he grabbed that sword, he took one step, and he said, man, this doesn't work, man. This doesn't work for me. And you know what he did? He pulled all that stuff off, and he went over and he picked his sling back up, and he put his rocks in his pocket. And he went out there and he faced that giant, and he took him down. And he changed the narrative, right? But so many CEOs, they tell me, I want to be Goliath, you know? I want to be Apple. I want to be Amazon, you know, that type thing. Well, I hate to break it to you. That's not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. 90% of startups fail. And those that do succeed, they sure don't do it like everybody else. I mean, you think about Steve Jobs. Did Steve Jobs take his why and say, I'm going to go copy everybody else and do it the way they did it? Absolutely. He didn't, you know, neither did David. And neither did my boy Bill once I finally convinced him to hire me. So Bill hired me, and the first thing that we did was focus on that horrible message. And we stopped trying to prove we belong and how big we thought we were. And we went back to talking about why he built the company, what made him unique, why it mattered so much to his target market. We got back really to his why. And then after we did that, we built an entire go-to-market strategy around that. That was the core of our purpose and how we went to market. And so we stopped trying to copy everybody, and we stayed unique to us. And we had our chance. We went up against the Goliath of our industry, a $1 billion private equity-backed software company. And we were going up against them in one of the largest health systems in the country. We're this little tiny $10 billion company down in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we beat them. It was crazy. It was an incredible experience. And I took the key decision maker out to dinner after it was all said and done with the health system. And I said, man, I know we got a great product and all that, but why did you really choose us? And he said, man, he goes, it seemed like you guys were trying to help us make a decision and your competitor was just trying to sell us. So it wasn't because of a beautiful PowerPoint presentation or those wonderful APIs or any of that stuff, trying to compete like the big boys. As a matter of fact, we won because we didn't compete like the big boys, right? So let me ask you a question. Let's say I sit down with you and we had a conversation and you started sharing your go-to-market strategy with me. Would it be any different than my original conversation with Bill? Because that's critical, man. So what I would ask you to do right now is that if you haven't thought like that, right, think about your why. Think about how you're going to market today. And if you're not doing it that way, shift your why. Shift your why. Go back to what brought you to where you are, and that will shift your go-to-market strategy, which will shift the narrative. And guess what? You might be the next Apple or the next Amazon of your market. Bill did it. Bill's company right now is a Goliath in his industry. And you know why he did it or how it happened? He went back to his why. So if you're struggling with revenue growth right now, get back to your why and watch the magic happen. Thank you.